Hey there, my friend. Welcome to the Second Act Success Career Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Russell. This actually marks our 2-year anniversary, and I'm so excited that you are still here listening every week to this podcast that means so much to me. What I want to do this week is go back and bring back some incredible episodes from early on in the show, pull them out of the vault, and re-air them as special time capsule type episodes to celebrate our anniversary. We are also hosting a celebration giveaway. I will be giving away a bundle of my favorite professional development books to a special listener. To enter, take a screenshot of the podcast, share it on Instagram, and tag and follow me at Second Act Success. I'll also post on Instagram so you can like that post, share it to your stories, and tag another female that you think deserves a little something special too. This giveaway will end on Sunday, May 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The contest is open to entries from Canada and the U.S. Good luck! This first episode is actually my first guest interview that I ever did. And her name is Jaime Hanley. Jaime went from marketing and working in the makeup industry to working in the mental health space. She is a great friend of mine and her story is incredible. And I'm so excited to bring this episode and re-air it again for you now as we celebrate 2 years of the Second Act Success Career Podcast. Let's dive in. Hey you, are you feeling stuck, desperate for a career change, or thinking of starting a business, but you're just not sure how to make your first move? I'm television producer turned career coach Shannon Russell, and this is the Second Act Success Career Podcast. This is where you will not only get the career advice you've been craving, but you'll get tips from career and business experts, along with inspiration from others who have made a career transition to find second act success. Let's get started. Hi, Jaime. Welcome.
Thank you so much for bestowing the honor of being your first guest on your very own podcast. And congratulations to you, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. And yeah, we do go way back and we have been through quite the career transformations over the time that we've known each other, which is also an honor to witness.
You were with me 5.5 years ago when I opened Snapology, and here you are today on my very first podcast. So you've always been such a supportive friend. Thank you.
You've just grown it to this beautiful community and employing lots of lovely people and creating a space for parents that feels safe. I just so appreciate, you think of the business part and the parent part. That's what makes for a second act is that you can, right?
Absolutely. It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds to it, right? Let's kick it off with your journey. You graduate college, and what did you think you were going to be doing with this life of yours?
I went to college thinking I was going to be in broadcast journalism, and I did all those courses, and then I had a minor in business as well, and I had some cool internships. I worked at NBC. I worked at XM Satellite Radio. While I was at XM, I worked beneath Angelica Rosas, who is the most incredible, amazing, inspiring woman. She's like way up there. I want to say at ABC now. She was amazing. So I knew her back when, and she produced a show on XM where they had this beauty segment. And so I would help her produce that segment on the show. She gave that to me as part of my internship. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I could do marketing or broadcast journalism business. I kind of saw it all kind of coming together just with a topic I was interested in. And then I ended up working in a retail shop in the mall. It was a makeup store. When I left college, I was networking and got a internship at Cosmopolitan Magazine, which then landed me at a beauty PR firm, which was torture. It's not easy to live in New York City on $22,000 a year and work 12-hour days. So I left there, moved home, and lived with my parents and found a job at a local beauty company where I became the administrative assistant to the CEO there. And she was amazing, another amazing mentor, right? Angelica was such an amazing mentor. Kathleen was an amazing mentor, and another woman that I worked with there, Anne Marie. And they just like threw projects at me. And yeah, I had to do a lot of admin stuff. And I got to work on like the marketing stuff and the sales stuff and the product stuff and be at product development meetings. I learned so much there. That was a really, really good experience.
Right, like education, like that you maybe didn't get in New York. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you actually like would go out to the warehouse and like see where the products were and pick orders or take care of a customer service issue. Like I got a little bit of everything. From there, lovely women that they were, they heard about a administrative assistant to the senior vice president of marketing at Sephora in New York City was moving up in the company, and they were looking to fill her position. And like, bless her heart, Kathleen was like, yeah, you should go for it. She was like, go and follow that. And like, don't let anything hold you back from where that takes you. So I did that. And again, another amazing mentor, Betsy Olam, who was the senior vice president of marketing for Sephora, oversaw all the retail marketing, the website, everything. And that was amazing. And I stayed there for over 3 years. And at the same time, I met my husband and I moved to Hoboken with him, and we got engaged. And I started doing yoga at a studio in Hoboken and did a yoga teacher training there. And I was thinking, like, maybe when I move back home and have kids and move away from the city, I'll want to get a yoga studio, or maybe that'll be the business that I have when I decide to go that route. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, I would be up late at night in college, like planning like my own makeup line. Like I would write a whole business plan and come up with creative ideas and whatever, like just because it was
I
fun.
can believe it. Yeah, of course.
And I'd be like bounce ideas off my roommate, and she'd be like, oh, I would do the design for this or whatever, like we would just, it'd be fun. My brother's an entrepreneur. My father's an entrepreneur. My grandfather. So it's like in our blood. It's just, I feel like we've grown up around that. And I ended up with that in mind, leaving Sephora for Lululemon to be the like marketing manager for their first store in New Jersey. It was very like community, like you go out and you meet all the yoga studios in Bergen County and like everywhere you can find and rally people. But truly, it was quite a negative experience. The person that I worked for was very fat phobic. I offered up like, let's get this person to be the ambassador. Let's get this person to be the ambassador. They have a beautiful yoga studio. They're really lovely. Blah, blah. Well, we look for people to have a certain body type. And how many times have you made it to yoga this week? How many times did you go work out? It was very toxic, the whole thing. So got out of that toxic situation after like 6 months or something. I was like, this is not okay for me and my mental health. Like, I'm out of here. This was a long time ago. I do think some things have improved since then from what I can tell, although I don't shop there.
Right. And it comes down to your morals at that point. But maybe a positive thing that came out of that is that you were exposed to all these beautiful yoga studios and you were meeting people in the community. Like, did that play a part in your next decision?
You bet it did, Shannon. Thank you for helping me to turn that around, because I was really going down the rabbit hole of like, yeah, that was really bad. You're 100% right. It absolutely did, because I had just graduated that teacher training and I was looking to get practice teaching yoga. So it did. It connected me with several yoga studios up in northern New Jersey, where then I was able to teach and get my feet wet in that. I was like, I'm gonna look for a yoga studio space and start doing that. So I was looking for that while I was teaching up north. And then I found a studio space and renovated it.
But how did you know where to start? Coming from marketing, okay, you knew how to promote it and get the word out there. But how was it that you just knew how to set this up and start as a business owner? It's a big transition.
I did work at the front desk and at the yoga studio in Hoboken for a while. And I did a mentorship program with Liza Bertini, who was the owner of Devotion Yoga at the time. And she was my mentor. And so I was upfront and open with her, like, I want to open a studio. And she helped me. She looked over my business plan. I worked at the front desk and kind of saw how things ran and took it all in. And then once I was ready and once we found the space and it was ready, I was like, all right, thank you. And so again, a really valuable mentor. This is the theme of our podcast, Shannon, mentorship, I
It
think. I
is.
think it might be.
Well, it is because you felt the confidence. You felt like you got the education from that
Mhm.
experience to go and start it yourself. And you took that leap, which I'm sure was really
Mhm.
scary because now you haven't been working in your more corporate job, your corporate career. So you're taking everything you have and just putting it into this new business. How did it go with launch? Like when you first started, you opened the doors. What was that like?
The launch was awesome. And in the beginning, it took a while to build, but people knew about us. And there was a time when things were pretty busy. And then yoga really exploded and it became so common. There was like a core community and it was a lovely space where we had, like classes of like a dozen people, a few classes a day, and just a really wonderful place. When I first started teaching, I also did some work teaching with a group called Kula for Karma, which went into like different mental health facilities and brought yoga into these facilities. So I'd already experienced the intersection of mental health and yoga in that situation. And then I opened my studio and people were like reaching out to me about yoga for different mental health, addiction, fertility, anxiety, whatever, all sorts of things. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, I like this. I like working specifically here. And from there, went to, I'm going to go to get a master's in mental health counseling. While I had this studio, while I was running yoga teacher trainings, while I was interning at community mental health facilities, working with eating disorders.
Okay, wait. And weren't you pregnant around this time as well?
I got pregnant right after I graduated, and I was still volunteering at a local nonprofit as a counselor and doing yoga therapy at their place and running the studio while I waited for my license. And then you have to do hours to get your full license. It's like the never ending process to be licensed as a mental health professional, but it's worth it. It's well worth it. But because I had 2 pregnancies within the process, it took me twice as long. So, there's people who aren't second acts and go all the way through with the things, but that's not me. So here we are, and it's all good.
You also had your studio at the same time. So you had money coming in from that. So that
Mhm.
gives you the opportunity to kind of take your time with the other.
So many people go to school and work and intern at the same time, and it's like crazy difficult to juggle all those things. But in healthcare, like that's kind of the situation that people get put in. So I was lucky that with the studio was a little bit like it was more automated at that point, and my mom helped a lot with it. Like it takes a village. It was a really nice community for her and her friends as well, like yoga for healthy aging and functional movement and those kind of things. Really strong, awesome. And we would also have like yoga for cancer classes and yoga, restorative yoga, yoga for anxiety. So like we were offering a whole bunch of therapeutic um, types of approaches.
That's amazing for the community just to be able to offer that.
Yeah, I definitely am somebody who finds meaning in her work by helping others. That is an important value that I hold for sure.
So what was next? How did you get from there to here?
In order to get my license, I was working at a higher level of care facility and worked there through my second pregnancy with Ronan. And we moved. And then the week after, my husband got laid off. So then I got to throw managing my own mental health as I'm pregnant and trying to keep it together, working at a mental health facility and taking care of the 3-year-old and running a yoga studio, pregnant. It was like another, amazing. Thank God we survived, and it was intense.
curveballs.
right?
And
Another pivot.
but at least you know the skills more than other people of how to kind of calm yourself, center yourself, figure it out, right?
Oh my
Or
gosh. No, well, at that time I didn't. No, I did. I did. And at that time I had to really use them a lot and get help and, go back to therapy and get the additional support that I needed because I was the angriest pregnant woman you've ever met in your whole life. Yeah. So,
I don't remember that.
yeah. Well, you probably weren't on the receiving end of any.
Okay, good. Lucky for me.
But I was pretty irritable because I was scared of the uncertainty. As people who practice counseling, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, any kind of holistic grounding, centering interventions, like there's a reason we teach them. We teach what we need. I teach what I need.
No, you do
Yeah.
that well. You really do.
Thanks.
But you have that calming presence that I think makes other people feel well. So you're doing it for yourself and for everyone
Right.
around you.
That's co-regulation. It's a cool mental health nervous system thing. So I worked there in order to get the hours for my license within all of that chaos happening. And then I got my license and I was like, yes, now I can finally have the studio and the practice in the same space. And so I built this itty bitty closet office inside my yoga studio that was not an ideal setup at all. It was beautiful. People liked it. It was like a tiny house therapy office. It was cozy.
I like
It was
it.
very cute. And it worked for the time being while I was building my practice. But like within a year, I couldn't use the space anymore because I couldn't have clients coming when people were doing yoga. So I was like, okay, let me get another office nearby. So I go down the street in an office park and I decide to rent a 4-unit space and renovate it and rent it out to other therapists. And it's going to be amazing. And it was amazing we moved in April of 2019. So it was amazing for the first 10 months, 11 months. And then pandemic hit and we all came home.
Yep.
And it's starting to come back, but I would say like a quarter of my clients still want to be in person when they can be. But like 3/4 of my clients are like, nope, this works for me. I'm happy to be here every week and do this work virtually, and it works. You can just never know. I think the pandemic really, it drastically impacted the counseling industry in the incredible need for care and then the complete change in technology. I never thought I'd be able to work from home. And oh my God, as a working mom, to do laundry while you work is phenomenal.
That really is. It's like you're able to help so many more people throughout this awful pandemic, but in a different way. You're able to just balance so much more from the comfort of home. So what did you do with your studio?
It was time to start thinking about letting go of the studio because it was just getting to be too much. My private practice was full. I was, seeing like 25 people a week, teaching a couple yoga classes, and it just became a lot. So it was time to sell, and I put it out there to a few people who I thought would really do well taking it on and make it successful and continue it. The woman who ended up buying it bought it in January of 2020, which was terrible timing for her. She converted it to virtual. It's Elevate Yoga. She still has a core group of virtual clients and teachers who are in her virtual studio, but the physical space itself has been closed.
Oh, well, at least she was able to make the virtual switch.
She did. She converted it to virtual. So I'm glad that she took it and that they continue to have a community there. And now I'm in private practice and most of it's on the computer, but I go in my office a few days a week. But the work from home flexibility is really huge.
So you've kind of had 3 careers so far, if you think about it, or at least going from the makeup industry marketing side to the yoga studio, teaching yoga. Now, as a licensed therapist, was there a theme between those 3 different careers? Like what do you think brought you to today, to what you're doing?
Well, when I think back, I was like the philanthropy chair of my sorority. When I went to Sephora and when I worked at the beauty company in Holmdel, I would do all the charitable baskets. At Sephora, I did all of their cause marketing work. I fielded all the charity requests. So I always had this being drawn towards helping in some way. Like I like to contribute to good in the world, I guess. And reflecting back now, I realized I was so anxious. I am not a person who by nature wants to go out and like make small talk with people. Public relations events are all small talk and hobnobbing with beauty editors. And I was so uncomfortable and awkward. It was just not a good fit for me.
And you pivoted. So
Yeah.
that's good self-awareness.
Right. I recognized the discomfort and that I was also feeling drawn to something that was more helping individuals. Like I wasn't getting enough of that from the just like, oh yeah, you need a basket for this charity raffle thing? Sure, I'll make it, send it off to you. Like that wasn't filling my cup as my meaningful work enough. And on top of that, like social anxiety is real. I have social anxiety. Like, you know, I like to have deep conversations with like people that I know well, as opposed to like really surface level conversations and small talk with people I don't know. I felt first with yoga, like, oh, okay, I can help people on like a smaller, more personal scale with that, you know, and then everything changed.
Are you happy you made this decision to get into this line of work?
I'm so happy that I've made all of these decisions. And I try to remind my clients of that all the time, that like, okay, whatever your college major is, it doesn't mean that like this is the be all end all. Like it's going to be okay if sometime down the road you decide you feel more drawn to something else. Every experience that you have has value, and then it leads you to the next thing, and you have to trust that. And I remember being young and not realizing that. And it's definitely something that I work with young adults around a lot. I'm really happy with where I am now, and it's allowed me to, you know, like I said, I love to teach, and to expand that into writing a book over the course of the last year. As I said, I'm an anxious person. So, and I'm a counselor. So over the course of the past year, I wrote a book, The Anxious Goddess Workbook, a survival guide for the modern moonchild. It is really beautiful. It's illustrated by Kelly Rose Burgess. She is a digital illustrator and artist, and it is colorful and interactive. There are coloring pages, there are worksheets, there are really fun creative activities, and then there are trackers. There are ways to keep track of your cycle, the moon cycle, and how to use a lot of spiritual tools to support your mental health. That's one of my specialties, working with spirituality. And really filling up your mental health apothecary, as I call it, with different ways to take care of yourself and fill your own cup. So we're actually now even working on an oracle card deck. I'm so excited.
I love the book. It's beautiful. Like you said, the illustrations, the words, the tools that you provide, I think are just excellent and very, very valuable, especially now and what we've all been through the past couple of years.
We all need therapy.
So the oracle cards are next on your list. That'll be out soon. We can expect it.
I am excited. We're looking at having them hopefully in the summer, and they are like a translation of the book into a deck where you can like play with them and pick and get kind of direction on what you can do to support your mental health that day. And I have a podcast as well, the Spiritual Counselor Podcast, where we talk about the intersection of mental health and spirituality. Yeah, it is a wonderful place to be, because as a momopreneur, you get to decide how you spend your time.
Do you ever feel like you need some support as you plan for your next career move? Then I invite you to join my membership, the Career Clarity Collective. Inside, you'll have access to a community of like-minded women. You'll also take part in weekly group coaching calls with me. Plus, you'll get a monthly masterclass lesson and a resource to help you start plotting your career pivot. Head over to secondactsuccess.co/membership to enroll, or grab the link in the show notes below. I'll see you inside the collective.
That's a gift.
That is a gift. And you're really taking what you want to do, what good you want to put into the world, and you're doing it in all these different ways. I feel like what you're working on, all these different avenues, are all going to the greater good of the people around you and your community. I just am so impressed with everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Mama.
Um, as someone who works in mental health, making these decisions to start a second act, to kind of figure out what you're doing when you feel stuck, what can you offer? You've been through it. It's a big decision. When I was venturing from the entertainment industry into being an entrepreneur and opening a business, it was lonely. There were a lot of days of self-doubt and feeling like I couldn't figure it out. Do you have words of wisdom?
Well, I think that we're both proof that it can be figured out, that, but it can't be figured out in a silo. Like, you have to find mentors, connect with other entrepreneurs, access courses online, like try and get some sort of roadmap wherever you resource it from, and trust that you are capable, and step by step, bit by bit, you will accomplish each goal one at a time. Like, take it. My dear friend Sherry once gave me excellent advice because I do all the things. She goes, Jane, how do you eat the elephant? She goes, one bite at a time.
I've never heard
Because,
that.
like, I never want to eat an elephant. And it, like, stuck in my brain that, like, step by step, bit by bit, you will get there. You can figure it out.
And follow your heart, kind of like you did. You knew that one thing didn't feel right.
Mhm.
And maybe you accomplished your goal of working in the makeup industry. You tried that and you said, okay, it's not a great fit. Let's follow my heart into something that might feel better.
Yeah.
Just think really hard inside of what will make you happy, because we get one life. So, look, let's make it all that we want. And maybe it's not working for someone else, or maybe it is, but
Mhm.
just finding your path. It does work out
Yeah.
in the end. It just might not be overnight.
To not should on yourself about, I should like this job because it pays a lot of money. I should stay here because it's what my parents wanted me to do. I should be in this role because it would prove I'm successful, right? Like, why are you really choosing to stay in whatever situation? Like you're saying, follow your heart. You still got to pay the bills and have a roof over your head and be practical, It can be done.
Any tips on saving your mental health as you're going through that process?
It's so difficult when a partner is not supportive. And so, on the flip side, it's ideal when a partner is supportive, because you need some kind of support system if you are going to be a mamapreneur. You're going to be a parent entrepreneur, any gender. I think a support system is essential. And you have to find time to take care of yourself. So hopefully, your work will be part of what fills you up. And you can't take care of your kids, do all the laundry, do all this. Like, it's a real quick road to burnout, I promise.
Right. And you having two little kids on top of your practice, on top of writing a book, starting a podcast, you've got a support system between your family and your husband, but
Yeah.
there's still a lot of times where you're figuring it out in the moment.
I started being an entrepreneur in 2008. It's now 2022. So I'm 14 years into being some kind of entrepreneur. And only now do I have like two people that I work with, one person project manager and administrative, the other one illustrator and designer. My Instagram posts wouldn't look like they do. Like, I pay somebody to do them. About also choosing where you spend most of your time. I want to focus my time on writing the content out of the mental health knowledge that I have. So I really encourage working parents to outsource or delegate whatever they can, whether that means you get some kind of food prep service, or you get a cleaning service, or you start doing sheet pan meals and you get grocery delivery. Like, anything you can get off of your plate and off of your mental load is awesome. Any working parent, not just an entrepreneur. So, noticing how you want to spend your time. I mean, if you're somebody who loves going to the grocery store and that's your me time, great, good on you. But I'd rather spend my me time taking a nice long hot, relaxing shower.
Everybody's got their thing.
Right.
Walking around Target helps a lot of
Yeah,
moms.
fantastic.
All right, it's 5 Fast Cues time. This is the part of the show where I ask each guest every week these 5 same questions. Are you ready? Name one thing that these different chapters in your life have taught you.
I think, again, going back to the importance of mentors and community, that they just are essential in learning and evolving as an entrepreneur. You can't go it alone.
Number 2, would you recommend taking a leap into a big life change to your best friend?
Absolutely, if it was practical and realistic. I am also, again, Capricorn, risk averse. I'm privileged to be able to have gone through all of these evolutions of my career because of the support that I've had, both financial support that I've received and familial support. It is kind of privileged to be an entrepreneur, and it takes a lot of hard work at the same time.
Okay, one piece of advice for someone trying to start a second act.
Prioritize. Just prioritize your life. What's going to make you happy? Like, to me, it was like, I need a job where I can be flexible and be available for my kids to go to their stuff. Like, that's going to make me happy. That's on my priority list. I want a job where I help people. That's also on my priority list. Like, what are your non-negotiables in your life that you want to prioritize? And then build your career around that.
That's such great advice.
Mhm.
What does your next chapter look like?
My next chapter looks like sharing the Anxious Goddess workbook and oracle deck with as many anxious goddesses as I can, and continuing to be of service to my lovely clientele, and continuing to be a mental health advocate, being a mama and a mama friend. And I just want us to get to summer so we can hang out in the backyard. How's that?
I love it. I love it. All right. So lastly, just tell our audience and our listeners where they can connect with you.
So you can find me on my website at jamiehanley.com. And you can find me on Instagram at jamiehanley_.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Jaime, for sharing your story with us today. I'm excited to see what is next for you. Be sure to connect with Jaime at jamiehanley.com and on Instagram at jamiehanley_. And also her Anxious Goddess workbook is available on Amazon, lulu.com, and at Barnes & Noble. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found some gems of inspiration and some takeaways to help you on your path to second act success. To view show notes from this episode, visit secondactsuccess.co. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Reviews only take a few moments, and they really do mean so much. Thank you again for listening. I'm Shannon Russell, and this is Second Act Success. Have you been wondering if now is the right time to change careers? If you have been asking yourself that question, you are not alone. I created a new 10-question quiz that will give you the clarity you need. Download the quiz at secondactsuccess.co/quiz. You will get results quick. Plus, you'll get action items for you to implement right away. I am also including private podcast links to give you even more information on how you can move forward to pursue your second act career. You can grab it now at secondactsuccess.co/quiz. Good luck.